Nothing is more satisfying in Warzone duos than getting a win. If you win a match, you know that you outplayed over 145 other players and came out on top. There's a lot that goes into a win, from playing rotations, winning gunfights, and using tactics to outsmart and outmaneuver your enemies. But some strategies are better than others, and this video is going to be showing you the best method of winning Warzone duos. This method is incredibly easy in principle, but pulling it off requires smart thinking and a good game sense. I'm going to be covering both the strategy itself, as well as the loadouts I'd recommend for doing it. If done right, you won't find an easier way of picking up consistent wins in Warzone. This strategy is built on exploiting the rings to your advantage. A lot of players will run from the ring, treating it as just something to stay well away from. While you obviously need to be careful of the gas, you can exploit it to your advantage if you're smart. It can force enemy players to move into exposed areas and make them more vulnerable. This is where recon contracts come in. These are absolutely essential to success in Warzone and are a core part of this strategy. They're going to reveal the best strategic point to take, as well as allow you to pick up kill streaks and loadouts with ease. When you first drop in, you want to pick a drop point that's got plenty of recons around. The start of the game is incredibly important to this strategy working effectively. Ideally, you want to map out a clear path of the recons that you can take. The area they're in doesn't matter. If you have the choice, I'd recommend an area that's unlikely to be busy, somewhere away from the main flight path. This is because you're going to be stationary when completing recons, and being hassled by players when you're doing them isn't enjoyable. Also, make sure you know where the vehicles are in that area, as they'll make moving from recon to recon much easier. Obviously, a helicopter is the best choice for mobility, but you can't guarantee one. Make sure you grab the weapons and loot you need to defend yourself though, as you're going to be stationary when completing these contracts. There's no point trying to complete a recon if you can't take on any enemies. Make sure you plan the most efficient route possible between them, and get to work completing the recons as soon as you can. The ideal number of recons to complete is 4. This will reveal to you the second to last ring. This means you can take up a defensive position much earlier than other players. You can scope out your surroundings, figure out where enemy players will be coming from, and analyse your weak spots. This will make your team into the greatest threat on the map. By moving early doors to a very defendable position, you force enemy players to come to you. The beauty of this is that it eliminates any risky movements early game. Once you're in position, you have to simply hold an area. No rotations to worry about, no surprising enemies camping in a building you have to travel through. Instead, you will dominate the best position for late game rings. Enemies will be forced to cross your path, and you'll be able to pick them off with ease. It saves you from having to make a risky guess as to where the final ring will be, whilst enemy players will still have to deal with this. The recons remove any luck or chance from affecting whether you win the match or not. You have all the information you need to make the best possible choice for both the game and for yourselves as a team. Now I'm aware 4 recons sounds like an odd amount to do. Everyone knows you can do 5 to reveal the final ring, and you may also be thinking that 4 sounds like a lot anyway, so I'll explain why 4 is the golden number. Doing 5 recons is a tall order, as you'll find yourself chasing around after recons into the second ring. I find that this amount of recons has a much higher risk of death for you, as you're forced to spend too much time chasing them. You're better off using this time to ensure you buy loadouts and looting to ensure you're properly equipped. There's no point knowing where the game ends if you haven't got the firepower to make it that far. Now I can also see the argument that 4 is too many and that you can get by with 3. But the problem with this is that the ring this reveals to you is still comparatively large. All that would have to happen is that you don't predict the final ring correctly and you're left in an exposed position. You might be forced into exposed ground, or maybe encounter an enemy team who've already gotten to the best position for the late game. 3 recons just doesn't quite tell you enough about how the game is going to end. 4 is the golden balance between time and information, as it'll tell you a late enough ring that you can be confident you have the best position on the map. Once you've completed your 4 recons, you want to rotate as quickly as possible, but also as safely as possible, to the final zone. Survey the area and figure out the best position possible that you can defend between you. Ideally, you want high ground such as a rooftop, as this gives you cover and a good view of the surrounding area. Don't pick a location too big to defend between 2 people, but also don't pick a tiny area that you can't move around in. Pick an area offering cover, ideally high ground, and also scope to move about in. Figure out where any weak points are and make sure you cover them. Then, be patient and wait for the enemies to come to you. Another massive advantage of this method is that it will give you stacks of cash to use. The amount of cash you earn increases with each recon completed. Recons start at $1,000, then increase to $1,400, then to $1,800. And finally, the 4th recon is worth a whopping $2,200. All this combined, plus any cash you'll get from normal looting, will give you all the resources you need to get set for the game. You can buy yourself a loadout, then pick your luxuries such as UAVs or self-revives. Due to the fact this cash is guaranteed, you can really cut down the time you need to spend looting at the start of the match. As soon as you've got weapons you're comfortable with, you can tackle the recons knowing they'll give you the cash you need to get set up. This reduces the amount of time you're exposed early game. Loadouts make a big difference when using this strategy. Wherever the recons reveal the ring to be, you're going to want to be able to secure a reasonable sized area around you. For example, if you're on a rooftop, you're going to want to cover the ground surrounding you. I would recommend packing weapons that can cover a variety of ranges. Me and my partner regularly run LMGs and sniper rifles between us. This gives us the ability to challenge enemies across all ranges. Late game, this means you can pick off enemies whenever they're exposed. As other players are rotating towards you, you can pin them down in difficult to defend areas with long range weapons. If you don't kill them outright, the gas will force them to move before long, and then you've got yourself an easy kill. If enemy players do manage to get up close to you, then switch to your close range weapon. This allows you to get the most out of your defendable position, so you will always have a great advantage over any enemies that you encounter, regardless of the range. This entire strategy is built on gathering information, but also patience. Once you're in the best battle on the map, there's going to be a bit of waiting around. If you do this right, you're going to be a long way ahead of enemy teams. This can mean it takes a while for enemies to come to you, but you're definitely better off waiting it out than rushing around looking for a gunfight. If you die, then all the hard work at the start of the match was for nothing. I am not saying though that hiding out in your well defended spot is the right idea. There's nothing more boring than camping out for 20 minutes just to pop up and get 2 kills in the final ring. Just because you're holding an area doesn't mean you have to have a passive game. Whenever you see enemies, take them on, go for long range snipes and harass players who are nearby. This only gets easier the later on in the game you are, due to the reduced area players can move around in. This is another reason for carrying long range weapons, as you'll be able to enjoy targeting players who are further away. Once you've completed your recons and got your loadouts, the match couldn't be any more simple for you. Rotate to wherever the best position is based on the recons. Pick an easy to defend spot, make sure you know any weak points, and wait for enemies to be forced towards you by the gas. With a bit of patience, you can drop countless enemies as they're forced in your direction by the ring. By placing yourself in the best position on the map, ahead of all other enemy teams, your life couldn't be any easier. You need to stay vigilant and watch your surroundings as well. Just because you're in a good position doesn't mean a duo won't be able to take you on. Communicate and stay on your toes, as everybody knows that a game can quickly not go your way if you aren't careful. This method is one of the best for securing wins in Warzone duos. If you can get the hang of completing recons efficiently, then you can give yourself a huge advantage over anyone else on the map. You still need to be accurate, smart, and work as a team. Playing recklessly will never end well for you, no matter how many recons you complete. This strategy will give you the greatest possible chance of coming out on top in Warzone duos. You can enjoy easy wins time and time again, as enemies who come across you will simply not be prepared and will also be unable to deal with your position. You'll never have to worry about the gas or making a risky rotation, as you know where the game is going to end. This method takes the luck out of Warzone and allows you to gain a big tactical advantage that's very hard to compete with. I hope this video has helped you out and that you can enjoy some easy wins in Warzone as a result. Feel free to adapt this to your playstyle and make any adjustments you feel are necessary. Thanks for watching.